to tell me UFOs are real. I'm just not. Yeah.
Is there an argument that we shouldn't know about?
The reason to hold this back is the desire to get information and power and technology that is something that other people don't have. When I decided to put some things out for the public to digest and look at, there was an individual, the stance of that person was, this maybe has been thought through way more than you or I have ever thought any of this through. And there may be a really good reason we're unaware of why it's been handled this way. And I call bull. If UFOs represent another intelligent civilization, if they represent another intelligence in general, a technology that we don't have, this is nature. This is part of nature. This is our natural world. Who is a government to tell the citizens of that? They're not allowed to know how big, how vast the ecosystem that we live in. Now, I'm not saying it is that. I don't know. Maybe all UFOs are prosaic. I don't know.
Aurora, Texas. April 17, 1897, a UFO incident reportedly occurred, and according to locals, a UFO crashed on a farm. The incident is claimed to have resulted in the fatality of the pilot. The pilot was described from witnesses to be not of this world and was said to be an alien. The townspeople buried the pilot at the Aurora cemetery. A stone was placed as a marker for the grave, but has since been removed. On December 19, 2005, UFO Files first aired an episode related to this incident, titled Texas Roswell. The episode featured a 1973 investigation led by Bill Case, an aviation writer for the Dallas Times-Herald, and the Texas State Director of Mutual UFO Network, also known as
object,
UFO.
brightly illuminated, floated overhead in the early morning hours and crashed on the hillside. And then in the story, it said the pilot of the craft, which was not of this earth, was given a Christian burial in Aurora Cemetery.
But one resident of Aurora since 1920, Miss Etta Pegas, considered an expert on the town's history, disagrees.
I never heard of the spaceman. I moved to Aurora in 1920, and not one word did anybody ever mention about it.
However, an eyewitness, 86-year-old Charlie Stevens, claims when he was 7 in 1897, he saw the crash.
We don't want to trouble you too much about this because we know you're not feeling too well.
Because of the years of harassment, he refused to appear on camera, but he did agree to talk to us.
You could tell me what you remember about the night that the light went over the house?
There's been more told about that. But I seen it was my own eyes. It fell. So we went up there and seen the spot where it burned.
Some people think it's a hoax.
But it fell.
It fell.
It wouldn't be until the late 60s that the International UFO Bureau would uncover the story. Hayden Hughes, director of IUFOB.
This is one of the controversial aspects of the incident. Were the news accounts at the time genuine?
Tell me the truth. What do you think? Is there anything here?
In 1973, when I came here first, there was at least a partial headstone here. I'll show you what I saw. There was only half of a tombstone, which went something like this. And on this was a very curious mark that went something like this. This was just a rock that had been hand hewed, and this had been chipped out of it with some kind of chisel or something. But as you can see, it's just a curious little object. But I think we could see if there was the other half was on here, we'd have what appeared to be a tombstone. And if you brought this mark to this side, you would have something like this, which gives you a definite saucer shape.
What do you think this is?
I think it's just a piece of fiction.
Yeah, whether or not.
It's Wise County on the map. That's all I can say.
Keeping Wise County on the map is the reason Miss Etta and many others believe the spaceman's story was written. From what she told me, the gay 90s had not been kind to the little town of Aurora. They'd lost cotton to the boll weevil, half the business district in a fire, and hundreds of citizens to spotted fever. People left the town in droves. In those days, even a Martian wouldn't be caught dead in Aurora.
The general consensus of opinion is that he wrote this story to bring people back into the community. See, that spotted fever caused a veritable stampede out of the town.
Well, we were not dealing just with one case. All over, people were reporting something, and one of these somethings appears to have crashed.
The crash site today is owned by Mrs. Brawley Oates, who gets calls in the middle of the night and thousands of visitors at her door.
There sure has been a lot of them here. The thing about it, they just pressed me for what's happened here, and if there's anything happened here, I don't know about it. My grandkids went out there with a screen off one of the screen doors, and they sifted sand out there, and they found little particles of metal, lead-looking metal, but it wasn't lead.
Another clue, leading to still more questions.
I know one thing, it don't never die down. Just on and on. It's just like a mushroom, but it just gets bigger and bigger, and it just goes further and further all over the world.
One man who has tried to keep the story from spreading any further is the sheriff of Aurora. Armed with a shotgun, he spent 24 hours a day guarding the graves in the cemetery from treasure hunters and curiosity seekers. And in return, all he got was an ulcer.
You're the one that, you're the guy.
While I gassed up, we had a few words.
Yeah, you were up here with a shotgun?
Very few.
A lot of the town people here believe that there's a UFO.
A lot of them didn't. It's fair. And it's how they didn't. However, they're telling me a lie.
What do you think? You think they should go down there and dig it up and settle it once and for all?
No.
If we can find the exact grave and get the permission from the Aurora Cemetery Association to actually exhume bodies for evidence, that we could have the evidence of extraterrestrial visitation.
Mr. Nobles, you represent the Aurora Cemetery Association. What's their position in this matter?
They have a very definite objection to anybody going down there with pick and shovel and wanting to dig a hole.
Why?
Well, they're afraid somebody will dig up Grandma.
They are afraid, and I would be too, that there'd be a germ lurking there if they dug up somebody that died with that spotted fever and get the thing started again.
Well, that's the story of the Aurora spaceman. Part of the story lies buried here in the Aurora Cemetery. And the rest of the story is inside that house, locked up in the mind of 86-year-old Charlie Stevens.
And it's how they didn't. However, they're telling me a lie.
MUFON performed extensive research and uncovered 2 new eyewitnesses to the crash. A Mary Evans, who was 15 at the time, told her parents she went to the crash site and made the discovery of the alien body, and a Charlie Stevens, who was age 7, told how he saw the airship trailing smoke as it headed north toward Aurora. He wanted to see what happened, but his father made him finish his chores. Later, he told his father he went to town the next day and saw wreckage from the crash. MUFON then investigated the Aurora Cemetery and uncovered a grave marker that appeared to show a flying saucer of some sort, as well as readings from its metal detector. MUFON asked for permission to exhume the site, but the Cemetery Association declined permission. After the MUFON investigation, the marker mysteriously disappeared from the cemetery, and a 3-inch pipe was placed into the ground. MUFON's metal detector no longer picked up metal readings from the grave, thus it was presumed that the metal was removed from the grave. While MUFON's report eventually stated that the evidence was inconclusive, we certainly can't ignore the physical evidence, which was a piece of metal left behind.
Didn't know why.
What do you got there, Bonnie? What is that?
Oh,
Bonnie saved some of the metal that she is convinced caused her husband's illness. Aerospace engineer John Schuessler recovered a sample back in 1973. He found the metal melted and re-solidified around the limestone at the crash site.
It fits the contention that it came from an explosion where it was molten and was blown out and landed on limestone rock and contoured to the rock and re-solidified. And that all fits with the story.
Other metallurgists concluded that in 1897, this substance simply did not exist on Earth.
First they said, oh, this looks like a slug or something. And after a week or so, I said, hey guys, where'd my metal? And they said, well, it's kind of intriguing. We want to run a few more runs.
The metal proved to be a kind of aluminum, and it was impossible to make aluminum this pure in 1897. It would still be difficult today.